Started off as a PG podcast, but then Devin just kept on dropping shits and fucks, and now...
That's right. We are live.
The ghost faced himself, Brandon Tanev.
This isn't like the start of last season when it was just, it looked like the Canucks were just a beer league team not playing defense at all. And just before Chris goes, no, I'm kidding, Chris, you can actually go now.
no, hold on.
We had to give more time for coming on late. So.
I still had, hold on. All right. Chris, go, and then I got something else to say at the end.
So, an elf and a midget in 2 back-to-back games. He's definitely on a friendship tour for sure.
I'm okay with him being, the 6'7" defenseman. No! He is a AHL defenseman right now.
Look, Shonky, don't mind Devin, okay? We all struggle with Devin, so you know.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Shifts and Pucks podcast. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter. We're live there right now at Shifts and Pucks, Facebook.com, Shifts and Pucks, YouTube.com, Shifts and Pucks, Twitch.com, Shifts and Pucks. We have, of course, you can subscribe to wherever you get your audio, as well as on the Area 51 Sports Network. Click that like button. Click that subscribe button. Click that follow button. Click that retweet button. Share with your friends, your families, your dogs, your cats. Share out there as we get ready for we are just really about a week, 6 days away from the Stanley Cup playoffs. Here, we're just that close. Devin, are you playoff ready?
Oh, I'm fucking ready, especially after that game last night. Holy shit. You know what? As I was telling you guys before, if the Flames play the Preds, it'll be a hell of a fucking series, but I will lose at least 5 years of my life on watching that. But it'd be entertaining as fuck, though. That's for sure.
For sure. We will dig into that game here. Sean, hello.
Hello, Kevin. Yeah, that was one hell of a game. That was big boy hockey. That was old school hockey, like Eddie Shore. Like that had a little bit of everything. You had Tkachuk and Duchesne using their sticks like it was like it was slap shot, like Dr. Hook and slap shot. But you had a little bit of everything last night in that Flames Preds game. That was great.
It was literally like, if you were thinking of it as a movie, it was a story in 3 acts. Like, really it was. You had the whole Duchesne, Tkachuk, Gabranson, Janot fight, Lucic, Borowiecki fight. Then you had the crazy second period, and then you had chapter 3, and then chapter 4, and then chapter 5. So yeah, we'll start. We'll start there. Big boy hockey is a great way to put it. It was 2 teams. I mean, last week they had a hell of a game against each other. Like, they are preparing. It was a message sending game for both of those teams. I mean, the Predators wanting to establish themselves as, you got to take us seriously, and the Flames, who do have a little bit of something to play for, had played like it was like an important game. And I don't know, where do we start with this game? What it was without we'll save the UC Soros part for a second here, but from the Flames perspective, Devin, what was your big takeaway from that game?
Tone setting, making sure that they are known, that they are a force to be reckoned with within this playoffs. And that was led by Matthew Tkachuk. That was led by Milan Lucic, playing big boy hockey. And it was very, to me, that was a statement game. It very in the same realm as what Tampa Bay is doing right now. Tampa Bay, there is all that talk, and we talked about it either the last podcast, the podcast before, on how it doesn't really seem like they're really up to snuff right now, and that really within the past 3 or 4 games, that really solidified to me that this is still a Tampa Bay team that we really have to watch out for. And that's pretty much what Calgary did last night. Yes, it wasn't a dominating win like Tampa Bay does, but that was a Daryl Sutter win. It was gritty. It was grimy. It was it's just playoff hockey and fun to watch. And even Milan Lucic said that was a top 5 game ever in the over 1,000 games that he has played in the NHL. So that kind of shows you the mentality that this team really needs to continue going into the playoffs. And if you're doing this type of stuff with less than 5 games to go in the regular season, it's usually a good sign.
Sean, did you have anything?
Yeah, it was good. Message sending, tone setting was definitely on the agenda for the Flames there, and the Preds, because they were trying to clinch their playoff spot, and they now have. But I just, if I'm Daryl Sutter, I'm happy that happened last night, because you're gonna need to rein in Tkachuk here a little bit if you're gonna be successful in the playoffs. As much fun as that is to watch him be an absolute rat and mess it up all the time, he spent too much time in the penalty box, and he needs to stay out of it as much as possible if the Flames are gonna go deep in the playoffs. So, Daryl's probably gonna try and rein him back in a bit, not neuter him, but definitely try and just say, look, just don't get too caught up in all the emotions and the antics.
Well, he was only in there for 4 minutes. It's not terrible.
Okay, but if that was game 1 of the playoffs, how many penalty minutes does he get?
He's gotten both those.
That
accidental on purpose high stick that gets called. Hell's yeah.
I don't know if that does get called in the playoffs. I'm to be completely honest with you.
That was
no.
Listen.
Okay.
That I was laughing so hard at the Flames broadcast saying that Tkachuk didn't mean to. Okay, yeah, maybe he didn't mean to. Actually, why is his stick up there? That is careless bullshit. That's
not even during play.
It's just, exactly. Then why is it up there?
It doesn't have to. If you could go anywhere it fucking wants, as long as it's not during the play, as far as I'm concerned. And you have Duchesne hitting it into his own fucking face.
It wasn't.
I'd say
no.
Absolutely.
No.
I mean, go take a look. Go take a look back.
I watched it so many times, Dev. It was an accidental, on purpose Matthew Tkachuk special.
I'd say.
And I'm not calling it. I'm just calling it as I see it, as I saw it, and. That's what it was. It was accidental on purpose, Matthew Tkachuk special. It's why you love having him on the Flames. It's why everyone else fucking hates him. It's a Matthew Tkachuk special.
You know what? The good majority of the time, I would agree with you on that. I'd say it's more on the accidental side than it is on purpose. And that's the way I saw it.
Well, the chapter, my favorite part of what Matthew did is offering, come on. This is what I love about Matthew, is he's a very giving, generous, thoughtful human being. At
thoughtful
the end of the
is
game,
not the word I would describe him with.
Oh, come on. Goes to after a rookie at Nashville, one of his first games in the National Hockey League. He realizes as he's in the presence of a celebrity, and he offers a signed stick to him. Isn't that just a touching? That's the type of human being that Matthew Tkachuk is. He's thinking of others. I see both. I be the Chris here. I see both. It can be much, and I do wonder what Daryl Sutter thinks of it in a private moment. But it is great to. We talked last week. He hasn't really done this much this year. He hasn't been the Matthew of the past. This was the first time that I could think of that he was really irritating the other team. I can't remember another game that he did that as much.
Oh, it was definitely more younger Matthew Tkachuk last night, but he's definitely been on the edge throughout the season. But that's what makes him as effective as he is.
I agree with Kev. He's really reined it in throughout this entire year and quietly been an amazing player for the Flames. And the fact that he's been able to not let the emotions get the better of him. And last night, the emotions did run high, and loved the fact that he was in the middle of it all. That's what he does. That's going to make him so successful within this postseason. I cannot wait to see him with the whistles away and just shit disturbing everybody. If it's going to be Nashville or Dallas, we don't know yet. I would, I before the Saros injury, I was hoping it was going to be Dallas, but right now it seems like a pretty even matchup between if it's going to be Dallas or Nashville. Because before, if Saros is healthy, man, that's a completely different Nashville team.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest news of the game is the injury to UC Saros, and it's sounding like, according to both Frank Saravelli and Elliot Friedman, that UC Saros will not be ready for round one. He's missing the last two games, so it's going to be David Rittich, and the Predators are going to we'll have to see where they're at. Now, look, we know David Rittich. We know that David Rittich can be, when he's good, he's on his game. He was put in an awkward spot for sure. I do agree with Greg Millen that they need to give, look, I understand you want to end these games as quickly as possible, but I think that goalies should have an opportunity to at least warm up in a situation that Rittich was put in. I'll say that I would agree with that. That there should be something allowed with that. I mean, we do that with pitchers. It should be allowed with goalies. But for Rittich, I mean, we've seen his highs and we can see his lows. That's the thing with David Rittich is you just, goalies are voodoo at the best of times, but David Rittich, we've seen the highs and the lows for him, and it's a very interesting situation what they're going to get with Nashville, either if they face Calgary or Colorado.
I for Rittich, I don't think it's a voodoo thing at all. I think it's a mental thing. I think he either gets too excited and loses focus on the basics and to stay close to the shooter, because even that overtime goal snuck through, right? Yeah, he wasn't quite in position there, and he should have been. That, or he has it's that, and or a lack of focus on shots that aren't necessarily super dangerous, because we all remember his tenure in Calgary with the Flames. His nickname was Big Save Dave for a reason. He would always come up with these massive saves, but he would always let in bad goals as well. So I think that if Rittich can get that focus right, where his structure and his movements are down, and he's not letting up on quote unquote easier shots, I think he has the ability to make whoever they play against, whether it's the Flames or the Avalanche, make it a lot harder for them than I think people will give him credit for.
I don't see him doing well. He's not in a rhythm, and maybe he can get in rhythm with these last few games for the Predators. I don't see it being advantageous for either of Rittich or the Preds. I mean, I think he can steal maybe a game or two, but I really don't see him. In the playoffs, you need to have a hot goaltender, and I just don't see with the year that he's had that it'll be good going into the playoffs. I could be proven wrong, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the level of confidence I have of him being able to get that focus right, but if he does, I think he will make things a bit of a living hell for Flame shooters. but I'm not sure how confident I am that he will get there.
Well, and I also think it's a team thing too, because if you're Nashville, you're facing either Colorado, who's got Darcy Kemper, who's played very well this year, or you're playing the Flames, you've got Jacob Markstrom. So you're facing a number one guy. Now Riddick being a former Flame, if they're playing the Flames, I think maybe there's some extra motivation there. But your scorers, the Predators, are going to have to score. You're going to have to hope it's going to be a high event, high scoring series for them to be successful.
And they talk about Daryl Sutter hockey. He's going to try and shut that shit down right away. That was not yes, it was very exciting, but I didn't listen to the press conference last night with Daryl, but I'm sure he wasn't happy with it.
Yeah, he's harder on them for wins than losses. The one thing I think I took away from this is, I hate to dwell on the past, but 2018, by the way, do you realize this? Just going to bring this up, that the last time we have had a legitimate style of playoff series was 2 seasons ago. Was the 18-19 season.
Gross.
Yeah.
Too damn long.
It's been far too long. Anyway, but they had the Calgary Flames went they clinched first. They clinched the Western Conference. They went partying. They didn't give a shit about the rest of the regular season. This time, what I took away from that is who cares? Yeah, we've clinched pretty much everything that we need to clinch. Except one other thing. But we're out to play, and we're out to win, and we're out to get ourselves into the rhythm and play in the playoffs. And I think that is the respect that Daryl Sutter and this team has expected from each other. And that to me is a good sign for the Flames going into the playoffs. To me, is that they're taking this seriously.
Yeah, they definitely are. Luch was saying that for the past 5 games, he's been preaching. Sutter's been preaching that they really need to be in playoff mode right now, and that is evident within the way that they are playing, especially last night. So nothing wrong with that whatsoever. It's the best way to go about your business. You could see throughout the press conferences throughout the year the slow transition from Daryl Sutter and how he's answered questions, and it's always been team first. It's always been halfway through the year, it was talking about, okay, we need to get ready for the playoffs. We need to make sure that this isn't an individual mindset here, and he's preaching all the right stuff as far as I'm concerned to the media, and I'm sure to the players as well.
Yeah, it's definitely not the same as 2018, but they're still going to have a tough first round matchup, and it's going to be, if they don't get off to a good start on that, that's all this will be for naught. So, but they have to keep focus. And then the other cool thing is just making sure that everyone's rested and as healthy as possible, which is why we've seen Vladar a couple times. I think we'll probably see Markstrom at least for one more game, maybe both.
One more game.
I think we see the Minnesota game is a bit bigger than people realize, because if they pass them, should they meet in the Western Conference Final, the Flames will have home ice advantage. So I think that they'll want to get that one. So I think Markstrom will play against Minnesota, and that I think that's going to be a very similar battle game. I think that's going to be up there in a very intense game. Minnesota's trying to get that second spot, and they're coming off a loss to the Arizona Coyotes. They're going to be very owly about that. And the Flames just want to continue to establish themselves. I think the rest game will be Winnipeg. I think that's probably where we'll see. I would suspect Lindholm, Tkachuk. Johnny has an Ironman streak, so I don't think that he will rest. But I could see Lindholm, Tkachuk, maybe Toffoli and Tanev at least taking the night off.
Yeah,
what's their roster looking like? Do they have the cap space and the players to do that?
They have, well, Carpenter's up, Ruzicka's up, so you can replace that. You've still got Connor Mackey still here, Michael Stone's still here, so you can still replace those two.
Yeah, right? At least on the blue line, you've got that. I don't know if they've got enough on the up front that you can rest, because you said to potentially Toffoli, Lindholm, and Tkachuk.
Okay, I would rest. Okay, I think they might rest Lindholm and Tkachuk. I think there's only 2 extras though, so I think those are the only 2.
Yeah. Right.
If there's a way though, I don't know. I'm wondering if Toffoli is a bit hurt. He hasn't been. He's struggled a bit, and I don't know if that's quite what's going on there.
If he is injured and he needs rest, I could see Tkachuk playing over Lindholm. You want to make sure Lindholm is good because he'll have a massive matchup. And I'm not saying that Tkachuk won't, but I feel like Tkachuk's game isn't as rough and tumble, and it looks like he's perfectly fine as far as health-wise and energy goes. He thrives off that shit. So I would be very surprised to see Tkachuk out. But that's only if Toffoli's injured. But if Toffoli's ready to go, or if he's not injured, I don't think you rest him. I think you play him to try and get his confidence up, because right now it doesn't look like he's playing with much confidence.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. Yeah, but that to me is the game you rest. And then on the blue line, I mean, Chris Tanev wouldn't want the rest, but I would think that would be a game that you can rest him. And I don't know if you rest Anderson or Hanafin. Hanafin, I mean, I don't know if there's any milestones or anything like that. Not that Sutter truly cares about that. Maybe you rest Zadorov and give Connor Mackey one more look.
I'd say maybe Gudbranson. Get the older guys out there. That is assuming if all the players are healthy. Obviously, if someone needs to get some more rest because they're a little banged up, then give that to them and let everybody else kind of go. But yeah, definitely the Winnipeg game is the game that you do rest people if you need to. And to me, it would be the veterans on that blue line, which is Tanev and Gudbranson. Because like Gudbranson is more important to this team than people may realize.
I agree. I do agree with that.
Why not?
He's a number 5 defenseman. You need them all in the playoffs. You're probably going to go 6, 7, 8 deep, 7, 8 deep in the playoffs. But he's more of a bottom pair guy. So I which is fine, but I don't see him being as big a difference maker as you guys do. But that's just me.
The reason why is because this defense has done it this year by committee. It's not been, you're relying on your top 4 as much as you would think. And Gudbranson on the PK is massive.
Yeah. Yes. For sure. We have some questions. Should we answer some of these questions here, or are we being rude?
No, let's answer them.
Okay. So lots of other questions here. I guess the one he's got a lot of it's Dan. Hello, Dan. By the way, see, I'm not. I can't go further up, can I? Here. One of them was who. We'll have a Sunday preview of who's going to go. We're going to do our Sunday preview of our Stanley Cup picks and all that sort of stuff. Since we're a Flames podcast, I think it would be easy for us to say that the Flames over the Oilers, but I think we'll wait on that. Let's see. Sorry.
How about this? Do you think that the Jets need a new coaching staff next year?
They're going to have a new coaching staff next year. Sorry for fumbling through those questions. I can't get Can't move up. I feel like Rick Dollywall right now on the computer.
You are the Rick Dollywall of our podcast here, Kev. Yeah. So do we think that Jets need a new coaching staff? They do, and they will have a new one.
Yeah, so I was really rooting for Lowry out there, but I don't think he'll come back in the capacity that he's in right now. And along with, do you think Chevy will be the GM for the Jets next year? I don't think he will be either.
I think he will be. I think they'll give him the I don't know if there's anyone out there that would be a good fit, a good fit for them right now. I think he built this team up from the beginning, and he was patient about it. And I think you have to give him the benefit of the doubt, because I think this team's just a little stale, and you can still do things with this team.
Here's a question. How long has Kevin Cheveldayoff been a part of the Jets organization?
He's been their only GM since they moved from Atlanta.
10 years. 10 years. I think maybe getting a different perspective within the upper brass in Winnipeg probably would do some good, because who knows how attached he is to some of his big players.
I have a feeling that after what happened this year, and I bet you Paul Maurice has had a lot of things to say on the way out, that I think we will see some big moves, and it will be Chevy pulling the trigger on those moves in this offseason.
It's an interesting dilemma, isn't it? Because I mean, here's the thing. Like, just from a Flames perspective, everyone was talking about Treliving was going to make massive changes last year. Monahan gone, Goodrow gone, all of this, and he pretty much with the start. I mean, they made changes, but he didn't make he didn't shake up the team with the big core. The only big piece that left was Giordano. It's an interesting dilemma that the Jets are in, because I mean, you got the big question there is Pierre-Luc Dubois and what you do with him. Do you sign him? Does he want to stay? To me, he's a guy, if he wants to stay, I try to get that pen to a contract as quickly as possible.
I was about to say, I'm like, that's not the big question. Unless he wants out, that's not a question. You're getting. Yeah, I mean,
you got to. What you pay him is the question. Scheifele is an interesting dilemma, because I think he's an amazing offensive talent. Is he an all-round center that you can win with in this league? That's an interesting question. And then you've got Blake Wheeler at $8 million. If there is an anchor on that team right now, that Blake Wheeler contract at $8 million a year, that's the question.
Yeah, Pierre-Luc Dubois, he'll like I said, he will get signed. It sounds like he's pretty happy there. As far as I'm trying to remember when that was. I believe it was mid-season. Elliot Friedman recorded that. Yeah, and he, I believe that he'll be happy there. Scheifele, he's good. He's on par, if not doing pretty much to the mean of what point production that he's done throughout his entire career. Kyle Conor is the bright star within that lineup. Holy shit, along with Nick Ehlers as well. So I don't see anything happen with any of those guys. Maybe Mark Scheifele goes, but you'd have to get a pretty penny for that, especially with 2 more years at 6.125. But yeah, Blake Wheeler for another 2 at 8.25. That's a shit ton of money.
And he's got a modified. He's got no movement clause and modified no trade clause, where he has a 5-team trade list. 5 teams that he would be willing to go to, and I honestly look at that, and it would be he's the captain, so this move would be it would be earth shattering. But it might be the move they need to make. They may have to pull a Minnesota here and buy him out. and his buyout isn't that bad.
Yep.
Yeah. And I guess Scheifele has a modified no trade as well. 10 teams he cannot be traded to, which isn't as bad. But then if you look on that back end needs some work as well. Neil Pionk played like shit this year. Josh Morrissey, love him, but he didn't play up to snuff this year either. Nate Schmidt wasn't terrible, but wasn't great. Brendan Dillon and DeMello, I think, are on the same page as being all right. But then, you have the shining star of Logan Stanley that I think you need to be happy with that, with obviously what he's done this year.
They also, Cole Perfetti got hurt this year. That
Right.
was big. They just signed an entry-level deal for Chaz Lucius, their first-round pick from last year. That just came down the Twitter sphere. So they've got some young forwards. They need to build Dan is right. I think they need to find some defensemen there. Wonder if they take a run at Gio in the offseason.
I'd say it depends on how things go in the playoffs for Gio. He'll play until he's done, but if he gets something this year, then I could see him retiring and just going out on top.
The thing with the Jets and their defense is they're going to have to make some trades to clear up roster spots and cap space to make that work anyways.
Yeah.
Because DeMello, Dillon, Pionk, Schmidt, and Morrissey all are still have at least 2 years left on their deals. So if they don't do anything in this playoffs and they just try and mold around that core and maybe have one more shot at it, you know who they bring in? John Tortorella.
I'm trying to picture John Tortorella in the cold of winter in Winnipeg.
It'd make him even more bitter, which is even like it just the sound bites out of that would be amazing. But honestly, I think that if they don't do anything, they stand pat and they get a new coach, it'll be John Tortorella at a 2 year because John always comes in whenever a team is middling or they're not quite doing as well, and because he pushes his players, his shelf life can be very, very short, especially within this new age of the NHL of younger players trying to get the best out of them without trying to push them too far. And I mean, Dillon brings up a good point. Bringing Torts back with the Dubois might be interesting.
Oh God, that would
but
be.
If you really want to do something with that team, maybe Torts is the answer. Outside of Dubois, of course.
I don't see it. I think they'll be entertaining. I just don't see it.
I think they bring in a veteran. I think they will bring in a veteran. But I just I don't see it being Tortorella.
Boudreau, because Vancouver's going to let him go.
No, I think that deal gets done. He stays in Vancouver. I could see Claude Julien as a better fit. Then you don't have that baggage.
Yeah.
Same style. Very, very sort of hard ass coach, but you don't have that baggage.
Mike Babcock.
Nope. They're not touching that.
Yeah,
really, but I honestly think they're going to be make some moves, because if let's be honest, are any of them a better option than Paul Maurice was? If you've done with that group, if you've basically, and maybe about the right phrasing, but chased Paul Maurice out of that seat, it's time for change in the roster, not just tinkering around the edges. It's time for major surgery, I think.
What about Rick Tocchet?
I could see that, but I think no matter what they do, I think we will see some major surgery out of Winnipeg.
Yeah,
because if you look at the depth chart as far as defense go, Vinny Hinola is a great and will be a great NHL defenseman. Right now he's playing with in their system in the AHL, and he's had little splashes here and there in the NHL, and he's looked pretty good. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try and offload some of that cap of like Sean was talking about with one of those top 4, top 5 defensemen that they have there, and bring him up and graduate him.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Jets, the offseason is going to be absolutely fantastic because I think we're expecting some upsets. We always get upsets in the first round of the playoffs. I think there's a lot of pressure. There's 2 teams. I think there's a lot of teams with a lot of pressure to do very well in these playoffs. And there's, I think, one team that's going to go on might be a couple teams on there going on a glory run here. So I think it's quite fascinating to see. This offseason is going to be, there's going to be a lot of moves in this offseason. A lot.
And we can really go in more in depth, but I'd say let's focus here on the Flames and what we're doing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, good conversation on the Jets, and thanks, Dan. Welcome. Click that subscribe button. I guess just go back to the Flames and in terms of the game, big win, all of that sort of stuff, and I wanted to spend some time here. Chris Tanev was nominated for the Bill Masterton Award. Peter Labardius came on here and just raved the praises of Chris Tanev. We are Tanevologists here. We love Chris Tanev. There's no question about that. I took a lot of flack for defending the fact that I would not put Chris Tanev in a trade for Jack Eichel. I got laughed at on Twitter by a few of those hockey knowledgeable folk. I stand by that. I still wouldn't have done it. And I think I was proven all right there. So I'm just going to pat myself on the back while you all laugh at me. Ha ha. And yeah, including you, Jim Matheson, laughing at me. Anyway, I don't know what else to say as Chris Tanev just continues to do Chris Tanev things. And what else is there to say about Chris Tanev?
We love him.
This was one of those we have to nominate someone awards. Might as well be Chris Tanev.
Oh, I actually think there's a couple of other Flames I think would have been worthy of that award.
Who?
Eric Goodbranson. I think
it's the same as Tanev, but Tanev's better.
No, I don't. I think this year with Goodbranson, he took a lot of flack from a lot of not only Flames fans, but a lot of people laughed at the fact that the Flames signed him and that Daryl Sutter went out of his way to find Eric Goodbranson a spot on this team during the offseason. And I think he's been more than fine. I think that for him, realizing where his career was at and the steps that he took to become a better player than he was in other areas in Vancouver and Ottawa and where everything else, I think he deserves a lot of credit for the year that he's had here in Calgary. I really do. And I mean, he's killing penalties. He's done everything that this team has asked of him. No questions asked. And I think he deserves the credit for that.
I definitely scoffed at his the signing, and I was not impressed, not happy whatsoever, and he completely proved me wrong. He won the Peter Marr Good Guy Award as well, and he rightfully so. He does great work in the community, and let alone on the ice. I think that's definitely not something to be scoffed at, and I'm sure he was up there for the Masterton.
A couple of other ones. I think Oliver Shillington probably deserves some thought on that too. This year has been a phenomenal year for him. Tremendous amount of growth. Trevor Lewis, talk about someone that I think Winnipeg has missed a lot, is a guy like Trevor Lewis. Not one of those guys that's going to give you a lot of goals or anything like that, but he's a guy that knows his role and does his job really well. And he's been a absolutely exactly what the Flames have needed this year. Trevor Lewis, he really has. And I think some for me, even Milan Lucic. This is a guy. No, seriously, I think this is a guy. All of the flack that he took for what happened in Edmonton. Look, he's not the fastest skater. He can. Seems like he can only score goals when it's between the legs. But he knows his role, and he seems to be enjoying the game. He really does. He seems to coming in and enjoying the game of hockey. Considering he almost retired a couple of seasons ago, I think he deserves some credit for that.
Well, Sean's rolling his eyes about that, but I'm wondering why. Like, why can't we have Lucic a part of that?
It's been a longer thing for Lucic, and I think it's to me it's everything you've mentioned is the same thing that's happened with it's the Masterton's such a weird award that like you can look at all 32 now nominees and you can pick out basically who's going to win it right off the bat. Like this year it's Carey Price, right? And everyone else is like, okay, we're nominating you because we like how you've played and it's perseverance. Like maybe rolling the eyes was a bit strong, but like all the ones that you've mentioned there, they're all the same. They're all just they've worked hard. They're not star players. They're players who get underrated but are key parts of a good team.
And nothing against Carey Price. I don't think if they were going to for those of you who don't know, the Bill Masterton Award, it is best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. I'm sorry, Carey Price, yes, dedication to get back to where you need to be, absolutely, and it's a good story, but I don't think he really exemplifies dedicate, like it's sportsmanship, dedication to hockey. I don't know. It's just one of those things where I commend him for what he's doing, but I don't think it's not that he doesn't deserve the reward, but I think somebody who's actually playing in the majority of the games should get that award.
I think it should just be a team award and not we shouldn't have to pick an NHL award for it. I think everybody says, congratulations, this is your Bill Masterton Award winner. Because I think it gets very sticky and I feel very ugly debating one story over another.
Yeah.
There wasn't a couple
came
of years
back for the most adversity.
Yeah, there was one year that a couple years ago a player came back from an end of life attempt and people are arguing if that was enough. And I'm just not comfortable debating who should win that award on an NHL level. To me, give it to one teammate, leave it there, and just leave it there. I don't think it should be an NHL award. That's just my personal opinion.
I'm not normally for spreading out stuff like that because I think but in this instance, I think I completely agree with you, Kev. I think having it as a team award makes a lot of sense because then, like, literally, we're arguing. I'm going through all of them, and like, there's two that stand out to me that I think that it's like kind of like the quote unquote bleeding heart award, where who has the most heartbreaking or heart-wrenching or dramatic story. And it's, to me, it's Carey Price or Kevin Hayes here. And I don't want to debate that. Like,
yeah,
it's not. And like I said, I think I definitely made the eye roll on Lucic was probably too strong, and I'll take that back. I always have trouble debating these because most of the time, in terms of what this award is or has become, it's literally who's had the who's come back from the worst. So like next year, if Brandon Sutter can get back and play hockey, he's a lock for whatever team he's playing for the Masterton type deal. Because last night they had him Dan Murphy interviewed him and talked about how the struggles he's had since his with his long COVID battle. So it's just, yeah, it's Tanev's definitely deserving of the perseverance. Goodbranson, Lucic, and Lewis are all good options as well.
You know what? I'll say that Kevin Hayes should get it over Carey Price. I have no problem debating it. I really don't. It's shitty what happened to both these players, but Kevin Hayes, to me, that's his award. Period.
I'll go one step further, and I'll tell you who I think should win it. If we're going to give it to someone, it should be Kyle Beach.
I can't.
If you're gonna
I'll go with Devin on that one, where it's he's not playing in the league right now, and I feel dirty and bad saying that, because that's why I hate trying to debate this award, because you're trying to compare, and they're all shitty situations.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. But good on Chris Tanev. Good on all of that. All of those. Good on that. I guess with the two other Flames I wanted to spend some time on, and Devin I think deserves some credit, because he is the one of the few people where everyone else in Flamesland was trade Dillon Dube.
Oh, he's bumping that trade that trade value in the offseason right now, isn't he?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Why the fuck would you trade him? Why?
Because you need cap. This is a capped league. You need cap to keep other players.
Yes, you do. So you buy out Monahan. You buy out Monahan and you buy out Lucic. That is enough money. You don't sell. You're selling high on Dillon Dube right now, but he's 23 fucking years old, and you still have a team control. Like, why? Why would you do that? 2 more years at 2.3. That makes 0 sense.
And he's got 18 goals. And
you want to keep those guys who are producing at a lower that are producing and have a lower cap hit. Boom. That to me, that's not even a conversation.
Honestly, he has played his way up into a point where I think they will be forced to keep him and find other ways. But I think you need to be open to seeing what's out there for him. Any good GM would be doing that. And then,
well, yeah,
I've slagged Trey Living in the past, but he's put together a good roster here, and this roster will not be the same coming back next year. And again, it depends on what it takes to sign Tkachuk and Gaudreau.
You give them whatever they need to sign, period, and stop. And then you figure it out later, or you figure out on the other end what needs to happen. Because if they do need to get for some reason a perfect amount of money of a $2.3 million off the cap, Dube might be expendable, because it all comes down to you need to make sure your top players are paid and that they're fucking staying, especially in Canada.
That's all I've been saying this whole time is like Dube, trading Dube in the offseason is an option. It's probably not your first option or the one that you want. They want to explore first, but it's definitely one out there.
But like realistically, buying out Monahan and Lucic, you'll have enough money.
Yeah.
And the one thing you might want to do is sell Mangiapane while he's still high. That's the one that I would. The reason why is because this Brad Treliving and this management has had a hard time with that specific player, and there'd be a ton of fucking people out there or GMs out there wondering, okay, what is it going to take to get a Andrew Mangiapane?
Do you think this is his career year?
Mangiapane?
Yeah. 35 goals, 55 assists, and he'll play probably 82 games.
Good possibility. I mean, but all he's done his entire career is prove people wrong. So I don't. It'd be very hard for me to say that yes, this is a career year, and that's it. But listen, he's one of those players that I think that he will rake Brad Treliving over the coals with this negotiation, especially with our rights.
All right, back to Dube.
Yeah,
Sorry.
What I like about Dube, I really like. I think for me, Blake Coleman, for a while, Blake Coleman couldn't buy a goal even if he was in the line at Save On Foods at the actual grocery store in the line. It was almost like the cashier was closed. Like as soon as he got to the line, he couldn't be buying a goal. But I think Yarncrow Dube Coleman line, I think is going to be a really important line in the playoffs. They have found some chemistry. And Dube is, since that to fully trade, he's taken another step and he's done well in playoff situations before. I think it's I think Dube is going to be an interesting X factor for the Flames in the playoffs. He's getting better. He's finding his game. He's playing with a guy with some proven playoff success. Actually, two guys that have played in the Stanley Cup Finals in Yarncrow and Coleman. I think it's going to be a good line for the Flames.
Yeah, we've been preaching this for years on this podcast, talking about how important the third line is in the playoffs. You want to make sure that whoever that makeup is, you want to make sure that they are rolling. And as of right now, Dillon Dube is pushing that line and having good chemistry with, like you said, Yarncrow and Coleman. And for Coleman, you know what? This is his second best year in the league. 33 points, 17 assists, 16 goals in 79 games. His next best year was in New Jersey before he got traded to Tampa Bay a year before that, and he had 36 points, 22 goals, 14 assists. So it's nothing. It's not really off par from where he has been in the past. But that line is going to be super, super important for the Flames. And the fact that they do have a little bit of a defensive ability, especially with Yarncrow there and Coleman, but both those guys are very defensive. It can be defensive orientated, and Dube's he has an offensive punch. He has that speed that you can. His speed is underrated. It really is. He can blow people away, and that kind of a mix, it for a third line, it can be deadly.
And then I wanted to talk about Noah Hanafin quickly as well. 200th career point last night. Him and Rasmus Andersson has been a great pairing all year. I'm not saying the pairing of the year, but they've done a fantastic job. He continues to grow. Not like either or, Nashville or Dallas, there are more dynamic offensive defensemen in both of their teams for sure. One obvious, Roman Josi. Let's not forget Miro Heiskanen. I mean, he had mononucleosis for most of this year, but he's still one of the talented defensemen in this league. Don't forget him. But Noah Hanafin is coming into his own, rounding out into a very solid defenseman.
Yeah, all around defenseman. He can play both sides of the puck easily enough. He can skate pretty well. The fact that he's top three defenseman on any team, I would definitely say that for sure.
Yeah, the Flames have a good sort of just steady defenseman in Noah Hanafin. He's not. I think people had a little bit more offensive upside for him in his early when he was younger, but he's definitely just been turned into just more of a good all-around defenseman. And That Anderson Hanafin pairing will be very key against either Nashville or Dallas because they both have very very strong top lines.
Yep. Anything else on the Flames that we need to discuss?
I'm good.
All right. Just to quickly touch on the playoff scenario right now, we know 4 series for sure. In the East, we know that Tampa Bay is facing Toronto. We know Boston's facing Carolina. We know LA is facing the Oilers. That's going to be an interesting matchup. And we know that Minnesota and St. Louis are facing each other. The question is where does that series start? So we still waiting to see who the Flames play. It's either going to be the Preds or the Stars. It won't be the Golden Knights because I don't think that they can catch the Preds.
They can.
They can.
Yeah. They need to run the table, and Dallas needs to shit the bed. 0 points for Dallas. 0 points for Dallas. And, Vegas needs to run the table.
I think what Kevin was getting at, I went exactly where you were going there, Dev. But what Kevin was saying is because the Flames are basically guaranteed to play the second wild card team.
Oh, okay.
First wild card team.
Well, yeah, the higher seed,
yeah,
of those two. Vegas can only finish as the last playoff team and play.
So
Colorado.
they just play Colorado.
Yeah.
And waste the time of airtime and jet fuel.
A waste of 8 days, as Daryl Sutter said. Yeah. And then you've got the Rangers are either going to play Pittsburgh or Washington. And
I want it to be Washington so bad.
Oh yes, Socorro. Yeah, that would be. Oh my gosh, that would be hilarious.
Well, Ovi needs to be healthy.
Yeah, that's another.
But even then, just like that, that's a battle because that was what it was that Washington Rangers game that spelled the end for Jeff Gorton and David Quinn a couple years ago because Tom Wilson ran amok. That's why they went out and got Ryan Reeves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's going to be that will be interesting as well. But yeah, so we're still waiting for that. We should have some determinations here. But for tonight, the Kings play Seattle. There's no significant games of any importance tonight. There'll be more important games tomorrow that will determine some of these things. But by the way, Nashville plays Colorado tomorrow. That will also be interesting as well.
Well, the Golden Knights need to win. That's something significant. If they lose, then they're done.
Well,
that is the game of the night here for this one. If they lose, they're toast, and Dallas is locked in for a playoff spot.
Wait, does Dallas gets a point tonight? They clinch, don't they?
Yep. If Dallas gets 1 point, they've clinched. Yes.
Yeah. So that will be a fascinating offseason in Vegas. That's going to be a very interesting offseason in Vegas.
I think I've gone through this like 3 or 4 times, going through all 32 teams, or at least just the ones that aren't going to make the playoffs or potentially won't. And there's going to be so many teams looking to shake things up because we know Vegas won't sit pat. We know Vancouver's looking. As we talked about earlier, Winnipeg,
if Calgary gets bounced in the first round, you got to expect that there's going to be a shake up there too.
Yep.
Calgary, Toronto, if they get bounced in the first round, I expect big moves there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Edmonton,
McDavid's done.
So
Colorado,
Well, yeah, I think basically any of the top teams you get bounced in the first round and shit's gonna hit the fan. But yeah, it's just gonna be the rumors are gonna be just everywhere. It's gonna be entertaining to see everyone freak out about them.
Do you know one other team that I don't think people are watching or people are not talking about that I think might have a very interesting offseason is Pittsburgh.
Yep. Well, because they've got Letang and Malkin need new deals. I'm pretty sure they'll bring Letang back unless he retires, and then what Malkin does is, I think, a lot more up in the air.
Brian Rust as well.
Rust. I think Kapanen needs a new deal. He's got arb rights.
Yep. Rickard Raquel, where does he go? Does he stay there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a fascinating offseason ahead of us. And Cervelli said this morning or yesterday when he was on the morning show here in Calgary that this could be a bloody Sunday for a lot of teams who aren't making the playoffs as far as coaches and GMs.
Just a bit of some news here from Pittsburgh. Their CEO, David Morehouse, has stepped down, and he was with them for 16 years.
Wow.
Yeah. That might be a new thing because they just got new owners in the Fenway Sports Group.
Yeah, that's going to be fat. Yeah, it's going to be a crazy offseason. I'm looking forward to getting to that. Well, I'm looking forward more to the playoffs because it's going to be a fun playoff, but the offseason is going to be fascinating as well. We'll be here for you. So click like, click subscribe, click follow, click all those buttons. Tell your friends about us, etc.
And Kevin, do the Flames have Yarncroc or Raquel? Dillon wants to know. Just going back to your comparison of the two, where you had Yarncroc as a similar player to Raquel.
I don't see the message. It's blank on my screen. I have no idea. Did the computer cut out? Just kidding. They're kind of similar.
They're kind of similar. They're one's a sniper, one's a defensive forward.
Yes. Anyway, so I'm gonna stick my foot in it, and we'll see what people are gonna do here. I have decided. I don't have a vote, but I've decided all of the NHL awards here, and I don't know if you guys have opinions on it, but I went through all of them. Who I would vote for. I have by one. I have 4 for every one of them. And so I'm going to go through this. You're either going to laugh or cry or whatever. Rookie of the year, to me, this probably should be unanimous, but I think someone else is going to get some votes because of the goals that he scored. But to me, this is Moritz Seider's award to lose. Defenseman with Detroit, I just think the position he played, the way that he's played, I don't think you can go by anybody else with that, but to me, this is Moritz Seider. I think that's hands down. My other nominees were Trevor Zegras and Michael Bunting. You have to give him credit, and then Tanner Janelle was the other one that I put in there. But Moritz Seider is the rookie of the year. I don't think that one is that controversial.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, you can quibble about Jeannot and Bunting with Lucas Raymond right there, but as long as Seider wins, I am not going to quibble.
Jack Adams, there might be some quibble on this. I actually went with Andrew Brunette of the Florida Panthers, because look at the way that they're scoring goals. There's been. It's not even the fact that he took over a difficult situation. I don't even care about that. It's how they're scoring goals. The idea of actually using 5 forwards on the power play. There's some innovation with him. They've been just rolling all year, this close to clinching the President's Trophy. If Nashville beats Colorado, Florida clinches that. Florida has been a dynamic watch all year, and I know that we always put that to the most improved team. To me, I can't get past what Florida has done this year. I think it's Andrew Brunette. And then I had Jared Bednar and Daryl Sutter as nominees. And then I think an honorable mention is deserved to Todd McClellan, considering all the injuries that they had in LA And the fact that they got themselves into a playoff situation without Drew Doughty, without Mike Anderson, one of the better pairs here, with questionable goaltending with Quick and Peterson, Todd McClellan deserves a lot of credit, but ultimately I went with Andrew Brunette here.
I disagree. I think it's Daryl Sutter's to lose. Andrew Brunette, yeah, he took over John Quenneville, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So as far as I know, he's had the exact same ideology as Quenneville, and why wouldn't you? So I would say that Daryl Sutter deserves it over Brunette.
Yeah, I have. I'd probably put Daryl up there as well over Brunette. I'll make a hot take. I don't think going 5 forwards on the power play is a good move, anyways. So,
but he's willing to try something. Okay, yeah, why?
I mean, it depends on your personnel. Was he doing that with Ekblad in the lineup?
No.
Boom.
Ekblad got injured, and then they went to 5, and that was after Giroux got traded.
Yeah. So, I feel like Sutter's. I feel like Sutter's done a much more. You can focus in on what Sutter's done for the Flames a lot more than what Brunette's done for the Panthers.
Fair. You can disagree. It's okay.
I'll do it all the time, Kev.
So then with the Frank Selke Trophy, said it right this time. This is one I know I'm not going to. I know where the awards voters are going, but I'm sorry, they're wrong. I know that everybody wants to give this to Patrice Bergeron, but this is this is Elias Lindholm's to me. I just can't get past his plus minus. I can't his. I look at what he's done against number 1 centers in this league, goals against average for the Flames over the Bruins. To me, I know that Patrice Bergeron has been the living legend of this award the last decade, but to me, this is I think Elias Lindholm deserves a Selke. And Bergeron deserves to be nominated. Barkov deserves to be nominated. And I would like to throw Sidney Crosby a couple of there, as he was, even the NHLPA considered him one of the most complete players in the game. But to me, this is Elias Lindholm's. That would be where my vote would go. And you can say that I'm wearing a Flame shirt and be biased, but I can't. It's not Bergeron to me. It's Lindholm, and I'm sorry if you're voting Bergeron. I think you're wrong.
I can and I will, Kev. I can and I will. Honestly, I need to dig into some of these stats a little bit more for the Selke. But I think both Bergeron and Lindholm are very good options there.
Bergeron has 61 points, 22 goals, and 39 assists. And Lindholm has 81 points, 41 goals, and 40 assists. Granted, Bergeron has 8 less games than Lindholm does. So maybe he might have some better numbers, but overall, I'm with you, Kev. I think Lindholm. It should be Lindholm this year. It should be.
I love how you're spouting offensive stats when it's a defense. It's a defensive.
Well, it's for both though, right? Normally, that's why Bergeron is so good, is because he puts up points and is great defensively. Elias Lindholm is so underrated and not recognized for his defensive play. Remember when we had Peter Labardius on? My quibble and it was it's just more so, I would love to see Lindholm shoot more. I would love to see him shoot more because that wrist shot is fucking underrated. The fact that he's able to catch and release that on the rush at high speed is absolutely ridiculous, let alone what he does in the faceoff dot, in his defensive zone. He is absolutely a fucking beast. And having him at that, at what is it? 4.85, that's a fucking steal.
Yeah. Plus goals against, by the way, for the Flames, if you want to take that into consideration, 202, Boston 215, goal differential plus 88 for Calgary, plus 33 for Boston. if this is a team, if we've argued and put that Selke is also a team award, yet to me it's hard to argue with when you look at the numbers here that it's got to be Lindholm for me.
And if it was just a defensive award, then Philip Denau needs to be on that ballot every year.
Yeah.
And he's not.
Oh, is that going to be a fun matchup, eh? Philip Denau versus Conor McDavid.
Love it.
That's going to be fun.
Look, I'm just going to put this up 5-on-5. Yes, offensively, Lindholm is insanely better. He's been on the ice for 82 goals for Bergeron's 46, but Bergeron's only been on for 25 goals against 5-on-5 versus Lindholm's 37.
It's not much of a difference, though.
Yeah, and he's played 8 less games.
Yeah, but when you look deeper into them, it's I'd be fine with either of them winning. I don't think there's a wrong choice between the two.
I think it's more so Kevin and I just want Elias Lindholm just to get noticed. You know, if he gets second, will be nominated for sure. If he gets second, I'll be still upset because I truly believe he deserves more. But yeah, who votes on that, Kev?
That's the writers.
That's Raiders. Yeah.
Yeah. PWHA or PWPHA, Pro Hockey Writers PHWA.
Yes.
Ugh.
So Ryan
There's too
Haidt
many, like weird ones like that. Weird acronyms.
So then, speaking of awards not voted by the Writers Association, by the way, Jack Adams is voted on by the broadcasters. This one's voted by the general manager. This is the Vezina Award, and there's a number of good nominees, but I ultimately went with Darcy Kemper on this for Colorado. Hard to argue where Colorado's at in the standings. I think that has to play part of it. I think he's had a lot of people questioned him all year. He's come in and he's done his job for Colorado for sure. People forget how unhealthy Colorado has been for most of this year with Landeskog out. Rantanen at times has been out. Kadri was out. McKinnon was out. Yeah, so it's really hard. Like, to me, I got to go with Kemper, and I have Vasilevsky, and I ultimately went with I'm not sure. Markstrom and Saros are the other two that I'm considering, but I went with Darcy Kemper on this. I know that someone's going to go with Igor Shesterkin. With the
Kevin,
Rangers.
like, honestly, like, I can understand like this, like, and I've been defending Kemper all year, but this is Shesterkin's award to lose. Like, if you dig into these stats, it's his award to lose.
I think he's faded down the stretch a bit.
Oh, he has, but it's still his award to lose.
I think that you have your top three, which is Markstrom, Saros, and Shesterkin. I know Vasilevsky. He's Vasilevsky, and he'll get up there as well. And that's probably your top four.
Okay, my vote's for Kemper, but that's okay.
You were one of the ones that I was defending Kemper against. Like, oh, Colorado's going to need to trade for a goalie. I'm like, no, he's fine.
Kemper's been better than Shesterkin down the stretch, and that ultimately was what turned.
But this is a full season award too.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Norris, 90 points for Roman Josi. I got to give that to him. I love Kel Makar. It's between Josi and Makar, and then maybe a legacy award, but Victor Hedman's probably my third. Considered Charlie McAvoy. I didn't really consider Adam Fox. I kind of felt that this was either Josi or Makar. Really, it came down to those two.
Yeah, the Josi will get it over Makar, and I think that's more so the fact that it might not even be thinking about this year. It's probably thinking like Makar is going to be up for this award for the next decade. Him and Fox are going to be head to head running away with that award. once Yossi and Hedman kind of fade off a little bit. But as of right now, I think it goes to Yossi.
And I don't think that Hedman as the third one is a legacy award. I think he's been legit the third best defenseman in the league this year.
And he I believe this is a record year for him as far as points goes.
Yeah, there are three defensemen. The top three point-getting defensemen are Yossi, Makar, and Hedman, and they're all over point per game. I think I think those three are your choices, and I think Makar is going to lose out to be the second runner-up, be the first runner-up for the Norris in consecutive seasons.
Now we'll get to the heart. I think Devin's going to be mad, but I'm going to let you gush about who because I think both of you have the same one. But look at this record for Florida: 57, 17, and 6. They rolled all year. He competed for he's not going to win the Art Ross, but he competed for it. Johnny's had a great year, and I've been singing the praises of Johnny Gaudreau all year, and he should be a nominee for the Hart Trophy, but I just could not, just the way I define the award, I have to go with, my vote personally would be Jonathan Huberdeau. I think there's a number of ways to go with this, but to me, Jonathan Huberdeau is my Hart Trophy winner. Like, you look at Florida's record, you look what Huberdeau has done, I think he's the definition of what it is, but you're going to make a lot of nominees. You're going to have a number of people there. And I'm sure that there's a guy with a jersey to Devin's left that we're going to talk about. But to me, it's Huberdeau, Gaudreau, and I think you got to put Connor McDavid in there. 120 points. He has 61 points in 38 games. I mean, we just have kind of went, oh yeah, whatever, Conor, but he's got to be I think he has to be in the conversation. I know that we want to overlook him in some ways, shape, or form because we don't like the Oilers, but I got to put him in there. But I ultimately decided on Jonathan Huberdeau.
Dev?
Both Jonathan Huberdeau and Johnny Gaudreau are in my top three, along with Austin Matthews. And you know what? I wouldn't be upset with either one of those three guys winning. Kevin, you are right. You can go whichever way you want with that award. You can look at goals. You can look at the overall game. But at the end of the day, it's most valuable player to your team. And yeah, I mean, if that's going to be the case, then Connor McDavid wins it every year because his team is shit around him. And he's able to thrive in that in that kind of atmosphere without having much support other than Leon Draisaitl and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. So if that's the case, yeah. But my top three is Gaudreau, Huberdeau, and Matthews.
Who's your winner?
Honestly, I think you're right, Kev. I think Huberdeau gets it.
Interesting, because I have Matthews. He's a 60 goals scored. We haven't seen that since Steven Stamkos, and there's only Ovechkin, Stamkos, and Matthews have done it in the Cap era. And when you look at that, the historical significance of that, I just think it has, and his as well as his improvement on his defensive game this year. Yeah, I honestly look at that, and I don't. As good as Huberdeau's been, as good as Gaudreau's been, as good as McDavid's been, I think I give it to Matthews.
And within that, I totally agree with you. The fact that the last person to score, or last U.S.-born player to score 50 was John LeClair 15 years ago. John LeClair. And this kind of the past 2 years, Austin Matthews, if he keeps on the same clip as goal scoring, so not just goals but assists as well, he will beat Alexander Ovechkin to 500 points in over 100 games less played. wrap your head around that right now, because we're talking about Alexander Ovechkin being the best pure goal scorer ever.
Yeah. And just there has been 5 instances now, including this year with McDavid, where a player has gotten 120 points or more since in the cap era. So it's also a very ridiculous stat, but I just have to give it to Matthews this year.
I think we should clip that and put that in our next intro. Great.
If we're going to do that, I was like, I begrudgingly do this. It's like Canucks fan pick between McDavid and Matthews. This is like the worst. And then you throw Gaudreau in there. Fuck!
Who's your? I guess the Ted Lindsay is it? Who's your Ted Lindsay best player? I think Matthews is going to win the Hart, though. I think ultimately he will win it, because I think people will give him the credit for the 60 goals, but my vote would be to Huberdeau. But
Well, Lindsay, I think, is Matthews as well. Again, just look at the historical precedence of 60 goals.
Yeah. I give it to Lindsay, or I give it to Matthews for the Lindsay Award.
it's hard to pass McDavid, but it's probably going to be McDavid or Matthews. I think it'll be down to those two.
Yep.
I'll throw a vote to McDavid just to be different.
Man, whoever gets left off that ballot between Gaudreau and Huberdeau, that fan base is going to be livid. And if it's Huberdeau, and if it's Huberdeau, so will his agent.
Oh yeah, tell him.
Yeah.
Well, it's a fascinating. I mean, the one award I want to win, the most important award, by the way, is individual award. I will still stand on this. It's the Conn Smythe Award for playoff MVP. That means because you won the Stanley Cup, or in the rare case you got to the final but didn't quite win, which has happened a couple of times.
J.S. Giguère,
he was phenomenal that year. Ron Hextall, Chico Resch. I think there's only 3. Yeah.
Well, and J.S. Giguère got booed, and like that drove me nuts watching that.
Oh, it's a New York crowd.
Yeah, it was bullshit. But yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. Anything else we need to get into, or it's time to go? All right, so we're back Sunday for a playoff preview. We'll have all the matchups because we're still, as mentioned, we're waiting for 4. So we're hoping to have some guests on. We're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to break down all of these series. And then maybe on Sunday, we'll announce the schedule kind of going forward at what we're going to do with the Flames as well as the Canucks. And then we'll go from there. So join us Sunday. What time? We
don't know yet.
Don't know.
We haven't even discussed that yet, Kev. Come on.
Read my mind. Oh, I think a couple of us discussed it. We didn't all discuss it. Anyway, how do we follow everyone?
I am Beardy Connect 03.
You can follow me on Twitter at Gordhouse09.
Tyler, TNOBLE. We've got Chris Schneidza, CHNEIDZ. I am KEVOLE. Shifts and Pucks, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, wherever you get your audio, as well as on the Area 51 Sports Network. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back on Sunday with playoff preview, and we will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now. In tribute to Tyler.